FIDE master and FIDE trainer Sebastian from Argentina. This is my first video for iChess.net. I've been doing a lot of webinars for the Spanish channel of iChess.es, but this is my first one in English, so I'm glad to present to you my new video series about a lot of different topics and for different levels, so all of you can learn something about chess in these videos. All these videos will be presented on Friday, if I'm not wrong, and in this, the first one, I will be talking about the 10 best chess tactics ever. All of these chess tactics, will be about attacking the king in the center. This is a very important topic in modern chess because it's pretty usual to see players, amateur players, but also masters, that neglect the development in the opening, and this is very risky. The only way to punish these development problems is to attack quickly, very quickly, and the only way to do it is with tactics. Tactics are the best way to attack the king, to sacrifice and to open the center. And here I will be presenting 10 typical motives that every chess player must know. Some of them are very well known. Perhaps some of you already know them, and it's great. But it's very important to know them because it's the only way to find them in a real game. If you don't know the classics, then it's very hard to find even the most simple combinations. The first one I will show you is the Smothered Mate. It's one of the favorite amateur mates. All of us, even me and even a lot of masters, have tried to make this mate in their childhood, and I also was given this mate with the black pieces. The Smothered Mate, it's the simplest mate because the idea is to attack immediately the f7 pawn. This is the weakest pawn in the black's position because it's the only pawn that it's defended only by the king. So winning this pawn is obviously a check, but sometimes is also a checkmate. The Smothered Mate is so simple, but sometimes it's very effective also. For example, in this position, if black plays knight to c6, then queen mate is the famous Smothered Mate. Obviously, in this position, black has several moves to defend the f-pawn. It's also important to notice that the e5 pawn is also attacked, so black has two moves to defend both pawns. One of them is queen f6, And the other one, perhaps even better, is queen e7. This is better because the f6 square is for the knight, and the knight will win a tempo over the queen. So the scholar mate seems to be a beginner's mate, but it's very important to know that the f7 pawn is a critical pawn in the opening that white can attack, and sometimes black don't have a good defense of this critical square. For example, here I will be showing you a game played in 1905, a lot of years ago, where white played d4, and after these moves he plays c3, that's the Scotch gambit, and after pawn takes, bishop c4, bishop e7, and queen d5, we have a position it's quite similar to the scholar mate. White is threatening to take on f7 mate, and black doesn't have a good defense of this pawn. In fact, in the game, black played d6, but it was made after queen takes and bishop e6 mate. If you check this position a little bit, it seems that black is already busted, because if the only way to defend the pawn is with knight to h6, but white can simply take the knight, and now white is a knight up, and it's again threatening mate. But yes, black can play castle, and after the castle, black is threatening to take back the bishop, but he's also threatening to take on b2, and then to take the rook and queening. So this double threat is not easy to prevent. If white plays bishop c1, I recommend you to pause the video and try to find the move for black to recover the piece. Tactics is something you should train every day. For this reason, I will give you the opportunity in many positions or in this video to pause the video and to think for yourself. That's the only way to find and to train tactical motives. I hope you find the only move for black. It's not easy, but knight to b4 is another double threat. The queen is threatened, and also to jump to c2, checking and capturing the rook on a1. If white retreat with the queen to d1, then c2 attacks the queen and attacks the knight, so black recovers the extra piece after these moves, and black has even a pawn up. Obviously, white has a development advantage, so he has compensation. But better than this variation, this is all a theoretical variation in the Scotch or in the Italian. In this position, better than moving the bishop to c1 is to take on c3, and after taking on the bishop, black has a pawn up, but he has a terrible castle for his king. His king is very unsafe, so white has a lot of compensation for the pawn. He has better development, a better pawn structure, and a lot of attacking ideas. But okay, going back, what it's really important to know is this motif, this scholar mate kind of scholar mate attack, that it's really difficult to defend. I have win 3 or 4 games with this variation because my opponents never tried knight to h6 and then castle. That castle seems a really difficult variation to discover in a game. Okay, let's go to another mating combination. A very important combination in the opening is the so-called the legal's mate. It's called the legal's mate because it was created or it was first played in a game played by legal, and in this position the legal's mate is okay. First, I will give you a few seconds. You can stop the video and find the winning combination. White has a combination that wins material of gives mate. If you stop the video, I hope you have discovered the trick. White can win with knight take on e5. This is a brilliant move because white is giving his queen, but if black take it, it's a forced mate after bishop takes f7 and knight d5 checkmate. This is a beautiful demonstration of the power of the centralization. White has his knights on the center, controlling a lot of squares. The bishop is controlling 2 key squares. The knight on e5 is controlling another 2 key squares, and the other knight is controlling f6 and is giving the mate. So it's a really brilliant combination, and it's important to note that after knight to e5, black can take the knight, but after queen to c4, white is recovering the piece and it's a pawn up. If I'm doing the right math, yes, he's a pawn up. So this is another typical motif. White is taking advantage of the bishop on c4, that it's pinning the knight, but it's not a total pin. The knight can move and make a discovery attack to the bishop on g4. It's very important that this bishop is hanging. If you look for this game in the databases, the real game of legal was knight to c6, knight to c3, bishop g4, and now knight to e5. But this move in this position is losing. Black can play a good move and win material. You can pause the video and think, what is the winning move for black in this position? And yes, the good move is, and the difference between this position and the last one, is that there's a knight on c6 that can take the knight, and not only take the knight but also defend the bishop on g4. So, and also, very important, attacking the bishop on c4. So black is a knight up, and he is winning. In the game, black take the queen, and the same mate was given. This is the real legal mate. Okay, this mate is also very difficult to make in a real game, because everyone knows this mate, but there are some variations of this mate that are important to know. Here we have another game, a game played in a simultaneous, and in this position we see again a bishop on g4 that is hanging. This is very risky for black, because there's a lot of combinations involving this particular bishop, and we will see a lot of them in this video. Here what white plays knight to d5, and black played knight to d4, and this is the losing move. Here you can again pause the video and find how can white win material. Okay, it's very similar to the legal mate, with knight to taking on e5. If black take the knight, then white can simply take the bishop and win a pawn. It's very important that black can't take on c2, because the king's move, and if he takes the rook, then bishop b5 is winning. The king can't move. The only legal move is to move the knight, but then the queen left the board. So in the game, after knight takes on e5, black simply takes the queen. And if you haven't seen this mate, I recommend you again to stop the video and find a mate in 2 moves. It's not the same as the legal mate, but it's very similar. After knight check, black's only move to take, and bishop f7. It's a very interesting mate to make. It's important, the knight that is controlling the d7 square and is defending the bishop, and the king can't move, so it's checkmate. Okay, there is some another variations of this legal mate, and we can find a particular very common tactics that I have made in a lot of games, in real tournament games and also in internet games, and I see a lot of amateurs players to fall in this trick. Again, bishop g4. This is a very risky move because the bishop is hanging, and in this particular position this move is losing material. Why to play and win? You can again pause the video and find the winning combination. In this particular position, the legal idea after taking the pawn and taking again the pawn with the knight doesn't work, because he can simply take the queen, and after bishop f7, the king's move and okay, there's no more checks or no more useful checks. White can't win, can't mate the black king. In the legal's mate, if you remember, this knight was in c3 and it can jump to d5, but this position is pretty different, and here white simply has a queen down, so he's busted. But this is very important when you are calculating. Sometimes you find a pretty interesting motif or an interesting combination, and you find that your combination doesn't work. So a good trick is to change the move orders. Sometimes with another move order you can find the winning combination, and this is the case in this game of Ruy Lopez de Segura, the inventor of the Ruy Lopez opening, or also called the Spanish opening. He was a Spanish player, and in this position white wins with bishop takes on f7. In fact, he's reversing the move order. Instead of taking on e5 and then taking off on e7, he first takes on e7 and f7, and after king takes, knight takes with check. That's very important, and the king goes back, and we can take the bishop on c4. So white is winning. White won 2 pawns. The black king can't castle anymore because he has already moved, and black resigned a few moves later. So this trick is very important. As I said before, it happens in a lot of games. It's like a variation of the legal's mate. In this position we have another typical motif. It's again very similar to the legal's mate. We have again the bishop on g4 hanging. As we said a lot of times, this bishop is dangerous in this position for both sides, and in this position d5 is a very strong move, because black can't play knight to e5. If you want, and I recommend you to pause the video again and find the winning combination. Yes, again white can take the knight. It's a free knight, and if black takes a queen, then bishop b5 check is a killing move. Black king can't move. That's very important. That's always very important to create a winning attack. So black only can move the knight to d5 to d7, or the pawn to c6. If the knight goes back, then bishop takes, the king can move. The only move is to take with the queen, lost the queen, and after all the exchanges, white is a piece up. He has one knight for nothing, so white is clearly winning. So in the game, black played c6, and now pawn takes creates a lot of threats. White is threatening c7 and then taking the queen, or taking on b7 with check, always with a discovery check, and then to take the rook on a8 and queen. So black white threats are simply winning. For example, if he takes on c6, white can simply take with the bishop, and we are again in the same variation we have seen before. White is a clear knight up. So in the game, black played queen to b8, but after c7, knight to d7, and bishop takes knight, it's again mate. The knight is defending the bishop, the pawn is controlling the 8, and it's mate. It's a real pretty mate for white to do. Okay, we have been talking a lot about this pretty pawn, this pawn that is so weakened in the opening, and the black has to be very careful about this little pawn. But another important motif in the opening is if this pawn is not there, if he has been changed, or if he has moved to f6 or if f5, then this diagonal is very weak. It can be seen in the most fast or the faster mate we can make. It's called the fool's mate, and it's here. Queen to h4, it's a clear mate. It's check, and white has no piece to block this check, so it's checkmate. This full mate is very strange. It's very difficult to make this mate in a real game. I have never seen in any tournament, even in tournament of beginners. But this tactical motif is very important to know, because there's a lot of tactics around this weak diagonal. I will show you a quick game between two top players, Fabiano Caruana with the white pieces and Hikaru Nakamura with the black pieces. They are in the top 10 players of the world. They were in the 5 players, the 5 top players also. And in this position, this is a rapid game played 2 years ago, and here Hikaru Nakamura played a horrible move, perhaps the worst move in this position. He played f6, and now you can pause the video and discover the winning move for white. Okay, I think that after seeing the fool's mate, this is pretty obvious. Queen check. The knight is controlling the d7 square, so black has only moved g6, and now a typical idea: knight take on g6. White is threatening knight to e5 mate. For example, after a nonsense move, knight here is its mate, so black has to take the knight, and after queen take the rook, white has a clear, decisive material advantage. He has an exchange up and also a pawn, so at this level they are top players. It's enough to win. It's obviously a rapid game. Nakamura will never play something like that in a long game, but it shows us that these motifs can really occur in any game of any level. We can see another game with the same tactical pattern in this position. Bishop to g5 is a very strong move. It's spinning the knight and it's trying to provoke black to advance the f pawn to unpin the knight. But after moving this pawn, this diagonal, as we have said before, has been weakened, and black has to take care of this line. After a few more moves, black here played bishop to c5, and now you can think a bit, pause the video and find the winning move for white. Yes, in this position, knight to h5 is check. It's not checkmate because the king has a lot of moves, but it's not only a check, it's also attacking the bishop on c5, so it's a double attack, and white is winning a bishop. That's a decisive advantage. So black, who was an international master, resigned in this position. Okay, we have seen a lot of ideas about attacking the f7 pawn and also attacking this weak diagonal. Now I want to share with you another tactical motifs, another mate that have even names after it, and that they are also very typical in the games. Now we are going to see an Alekhine game. Alexander Alekhine was the 4th world champion, and he played a lot of tactical games. In this position, it's white to play and win. You can pause the video and find the mate in 2 moves. And yes, again, we can see the power of this diagonal to attack. Here the f pawn is in f7, so this diagonal doesn't seem so weak, but after queen takes a6, black is losing. The bishop on a3 is very important, so the king can't move. Only move to take the queen, and then bishop mate. We are again taking advantage of this critical diagonal. In this particular pattern, the diagonal wasn't weak, but with a queen sacrifice we can liberate the diagonal. Searching for games for this video, I find a lot of samples with the same pattern as in the Alekhine's game. We can show you one of them. There's a lot of them, but this is very pretty. White to play. This is a game between those 2 masters. You can pause the video and find the winning move. And yes, if you have understand the previous mate, this is pretty similar. With queen taking the bishop, we are in the same position as in the Alekhine's game. Black resigned here because after taking the queen, bishop to h5, it's mate. Well, black can play advanced pawn, but we can take the pawn, and now it's mate. So it's very important to understand that in all these exercises around this diagonal, black has also played the move h6, so weakening the g6 square. I like the example of this weak diagonal we can see in the next game. This is a very old, a classic game between unknown player and Greco. Greco was a very strong Italian player in the 60s, a lot of years ago, and now Greco take advantage of this weak diagonal to make a check, and after the king's move, knight takes, queen takes, bishop d7, knight to f3. Now black can make a very known mate that you should know. You can pause the video and find the winning combination. It's a forced mate for black. Yes, in this position black has the Smothered Mate, also called the Lucena's Mate, or even the Greco's mate, because of this game. Black check with the knight, the king has to move, and then another double check with the knight and with the queen. If the kings go here, then it's checkmate with the queen, and if the kings go to d1, then the spectacular move. If you haven't seen before, you can pause the video again and find the mate in 2 moves. In this position, queen to e1, it's a spectacular queen sacrifice. White had to take it, and knight mate. The king is can move because of his own pieces. That's pretty amazing. Finally, we are in the last 2 mates. This one is the so-called Morphy's mate because of Paul's Morphy game, his most known game, the opera game. Again, you have to know, if you don't already know it, look for it. It's pretty amazing. And in this position, white has a mate in 2 moves, so you can pause the video and find it if you want. Yes, another queen sacrifice. White can play queen check. It's very important. This bishop is controlling a lot of squares. Black has to take the queen, and then rook to d8 is mate. This is the Morphy's mate. It's a very common mate. There's a lot of combination and a lot of classical games finishing with this particular coordination of bishop and rook. And in the last game, we are going to see a game played by 2 of the strongest players of the first decades of the 20th century. In this position, in a game between Richard Reti and Sabely Tartakower, white has a mate in 3 moves. It's a combination of the Reti's mate and the Morphy's mate also. So you can pause the video and search for it. Okay, in this position, white can play queen to d8, check, sacrificing the queen again. We have sacrificed a lot of queens in this video. Black has to take the queen, there's no other legal move, and then again a double check with the rook and with the bishop, similar to the double check we have already seen this in the Smothered Mate. And now black has only 2 legal moves. If the king goes to 8-8, then rook here is the Morphy's mate, like in the previous game. And in the game, Tartakower went to c7, and now we have a wonderful mate to finish the video. Bishop d8 mate. The rook is controlling the file and the bishop is controlling the diagonal. The king can't move. That's a pretty amazing mate with the bishop after a queen sacrifice. Okay, we have seen a lot of tactical motifs, a lot of mate patterns that you must know. Wherever your level of playing is, you have to know these mates, because they are pretty essential, they are pretty typical, and they knowing them will fasten your calculations in your games. In the next Friday we will show you another video, another free class with a different topic to more advanced players, so all of you can learn something from this video series. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, you can always comment this video in the YouTube. So I hope you enjoyed, and see you the next Friday.